Welcome back to the Hidden Pulse podcast. Today we have an incredibly awesome, exciting interview, and it is with the one and only Peggy Shanahan. So for all of you Niner fans, Peggy is Kyle Shanahan, our head coach's mother. She created this whole dynasty, let's be honest. And then she is married to Mike Shanahan, so a very decorated NFL and collegiate football coach. Won the Super Bowl with the Broncos and also with the 49ers. So we get into all of that. And just in this talk, Bruce is actually sitting down in Denver with Peggy. So I'm very sad that I missed that. But a special thank you to Peggy for inviting us into your home or inviting Pops in. We talk about mindset. We talk about the transitions of life. We talk about the different roles as an NFL wife and then transitioning to a mother. We talk about what young Kyle was like and how football is family. So we are super excited to welcome Peggy Shanahan to the show. Let's get the interview started.
All right, so Bruce Kittle here. I have the great pleasure of sitting down with Peggy Shanahan. Peggy, thank you for hosting me in your place. I'm really grateful. We are in Denver, Colorado, in anticipation of the San Francisco 49ers showing up here on Sunday and putting a big butt whipping on the Denver Broncos, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Peggy graciously agreed just because I thought it'd be kind of cool with their history in Denver and all that kind of stuff, but also just to hear what it's like. So this is kind of a theme with our women in sports, and certainly being the head coach's wife for all those years in Denver and being part of that whole scene. So we're excited to do that. So thank you for agreeing to do this, and thank you for hosting me. And so we'll kind of get rolling.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. So just that. Okay, good. So some quick fire things just to we can get to know you a little bit. All right, what's one thing now? I will say this, we were talking before we got started. I was trying to do a little research, and you can search Mike Shanahan, and there's tons of stuff. You search Kyle Shanahan, tons of stuff, even the kids. But when you search Peggy Shanahan, it all goes back to the other folks. So not much out there. So she's a little bit private. So we feel this is an exclusive special edition. So we're gonna do a couple things, maybe just to get to know her a little bit. So what's one thing people would not know about you that you might be willing to share? Like just a little background kind of secret.
Well, it's really not a secret, but probably not many people know, except the people that were involved. I never had been to a football game until I met Mike.
Okay.
I then did a really stupid thing. He asked me if I would help work at the football office twice a week for 2 hours a day because they didn't have anyone to just type up or do little things.
Was this Eastern Illinois?
Yes,
yeah,
Eastern
okay.
Illinois.
Yep.
And our high school that I went to didn't have football. They weren't large enough.
Okay.
So anyway, I go, well, I don't know anything about football. He goes, oh, don't worry about it. You won't need to. So one of the first times I was there, probably my second time, the defensive coach was a big jokester, and he came in and he handed me this piece of paper and he said, and I might even pronounce his name wrong.
That's okay.
Arian Parsegian, the Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's close enough, yeah.
I didn't have a clue who he was talking about, but
Yep.
he said he needs the head coach to call back right away. And so you got to find him and give him this note. And I go, okay, where would he be? And he goes, I don't know, you got to find him somewhere. So I'm like, okay. So I started going into offices saying, do you know where the coach is? I get the message to him and everything. And everyone just is looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
Right, you didn't.
He didn't call the coach. And so anyway,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is. And so they just thought that was the funniest thing because everyone had to know who he was.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, do very well the first couple of weeks, and I really didn't do very well there at all.
Well, history and knowledge of college football coaches around the country is certainly not a prerequisite for work at Eastern Illinois.
Right.
So shame on you, assistant coach. A lot of our coaches like to be little jokesters. There's a lot of that going on, which is good because they work a lot of hours, so they got to do that. So that's pretty funny. So okay.
They need to laugh.
All right. So you were a staff person there, and so then you might kind of went from there. So okay. So there's one. We'll come back to that. All right. Favorite charity and why? I know over the years you've been involved with a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Is there one in particular that you'd like to mention? Just because we love to support charities, and we like to support a charity of choice by our guests to help spread the love a little bit. So, and this doesn't have to be that charity, but is there a charity that you particularly support?
Right now, Mike and I are involved in very, very supportive of Judy's house.
Okay.
It's actually Brian Greasy started it, and his wife Brooke. The first year he started it was the first year he played quarterback here.
Okay.
He lost his mom of breast cancer when he was 12. And so Judy's house is named after his mom.
Yep.
And what it does, it helps kids that lose parents. They come and they have sessions. They can be there every day if they're young. They can come after school.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what they do.
Right. Okay.
And they just recently have built a whole new place. And Brooke is traveling now all over, speaking to other places that are incorporating the same aspect of helping young kids that lose their parents. And so that's pretty much what we're involved in a lot right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judy's house it is. We'll talk again, and we'll put a link in the notes with Judy's house stuff so they can support that. And are they more than just Denver, or are they primarily Denver?
Just this one, Judy's house is.
Okay.
They just had an opening. I don't know when it was, but Brian got to come and go right back. But, so yeah, it's kind of spreading across the country, but I think they were one of the original,
Right.
and people are just picking up on it a little bit
Okay.
because it just, keeps happening.
Yeah, well, losing a parent's tough. And
Yeah.
we don't always do that much about it, and we never know what to say to kids, and they have
Right.
to bury those emotions, and we send them back to school, and it's tough. So that's a great thing. So, okay, well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, then, I know the answer to this question, but favorite wine? I know you're a Chardonnay woman.
Chardonnay.
So, is there a particular Chardonnay that you are akin to?
Yes, I have a favorite for several years now.
Okay,
Frank Family Chardonnay
Frank Family Chardonnay.
out of Napa.
All right.
Yeah, love
Okay,
it.
out of
Try
that.
it.
Okay, well, there you go. We will. I think our family tends to ride a little bit on the red side, but
Yeah.
I don't really drink a lot of wine. So, but
Yeah.
being in California, we visit some wineries there, so
Right.
it is a super fun thing to do.
Yeah,
so that's really cool.
it
So,
is.
okay, so we got a favorite wine, favorite food.
I don't really have favorite food. I'm kind of picky.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we don't.
Like Kyle's kind of picky. Everyone blames me on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
picky.
all good. Okay, and what about a dessert?
And I'm not big on dessert either.
Not a big dessert person. Okay, there you go.
I like salads.
Okay, very good salad. Well,
Yeah.
we have a lot of vegans in our family, so we don't eat
Yeah.
much meat. We eat a lot of lettuce. So
Well, we have a restaurant that's a steakhouse,
yes,
and so
I,
they don't have anything I can eat except really salads.
that's kind of what we do. Yeah.
I
So
don't
it goes.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, salads are good. How about a favorite movie or book?
This is gonna sound weird probably, and it's just because it's probably more recent, but oh no, I can't think of it. But Rhapsody.
Rhapsody in Blues.
with Prince. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I could watch it every day. I love the music. I loved it. He did such a great job acting,
Yeah.
portraying him. I love it. Yep.
Okay. Good. All right, Prince fan. Okay, then favorite vacation spot. I think I know, but
Probably Cabo,
Cabo. All right.
just because we have a house there.
Yeah. All right. Well, weather's usually
Easy
pretty
to
good.
get to.
Yeah. Super easy to get to. So that part's really
Always
nice.
nice weather.
Yeah. Okay. Cabo it is. Okay. Well, let's get into a little bit of the meat and potatoes part of this. Okay. So let's talk about meeting Coach Mike and then eventually getting married. So I've got you down. You corrected me because the internet, of course, was wrong. So thank you very much there. Anyway, married in 1977, February 19th. False reports of a Valentine's Day wedding.
Right.
All right. So congratulations on all that kind of stuff. So is that 44 years? Do I have that part right? Or 40?
I think
Yeah.
maybe I don't know.
It's a long time.
I mean, it's too hard to think.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a weird math too with the sevens and the fours.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, you already mentioned, so Eastern Illinois, did you meet at Eastern Illinois then?
We did. He's
Okay.
from Chicago. I'm from mid-state Illinois. He's 2 years older. So I met him at the end of my sophomore year, which
Okay.
was the end of his senior year.
Okay.
So I missed the injury parts.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, so at least as I understand it, somewhere around between his sophomore and junior year during practice, took a pretty severe hit, ruptured a kidney, and that was kind of the end of his playing. And so then he stayed on, kind of worked as a graduate assistant, and then evolved into some other things. And so you met him after senior year, so he'd already been done playing a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was working the coaching staff angle at that side.
Right.
Okay. Is it a cool meetup? How'd you guys, did he see you on the sideline or something? Or?
No, because remember I didn't
Yeah,
go to
never
football
go to
games.
Never went to a football game because there are some wives that come out of football families, which
Right.
kind of prepares them. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like it's different. But if you don't come out of a football family and you walk into it, that's a lot.
Right.
Okay, so then how did you guys meet?
Actually, I met his roommate. He was a baseball player. His nickname was called Dinger, and he was dating someone that I was a friend of in our sorority. And so I met him, and then we kind of started hanging out as friends. And Mike just came one day, and yeah, that's it, I guess.
Took off.
Nothing, special or just kind of normal
Yeah. Okay. So you were in school. What did you end up getting your degree in?
business.
Okay, you're a business. But we also know, so I guess I was just curious, so you were studying and then Mike swoops in and then that kind of takes off. You start working at the football office and then we kind of know where it goes from there. There's a little story about you being a home designer though, is that true?
I do that, kind of forced into it because we move so often.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got tired of having other people do stuff, and then I became pickier, and
Yeah.
so it just kind of went that way.
Right. There's something true about that. When you move a lot, it really clarifies the things in a home that you want, kind of location and stuff in it, and then how you want it and how you want it to look. And this looks great. So my wife would love this. A lot of white. All the houses would move in, and she paints everything white, and then kind of puts some wood stuff in it.
Right.
So, anyway, so good on that. Okay. Well then, when did you realize that Mike was going to be the one? Or was it right away?
I mean, not really, but we didn't date that long, and I think probably the reason we did get married so quickly was
How long was it?
it was probably a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we got engaged. Because he was going to start coaching.
Yeah.
He had already gone to Oklahoma for that season. And so I ended up finishing my last year at Oklahoma. And then that's when we decided we were going to get married.
Right. Were you engaged before you went down, or did you go
I
down?
got right when I got down there.
Right down there.
Yeah.
So as long as you came
But
down.
so we decided when we talked about it that we either should go ahead and get engaged right now, or we'll probably just,
Yeah.
there's too much.
Yeah.
It's not even distance, it's like his schedule.
Yeah. You're either in
Right.
or you're out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's
so,
why.
All right. Well, very cool.
And it
So,
worked.
all right. And then, so Mike was, let's see, he was down there in 74. So you guys eventually got married in 77. So engagement was a couple years. Is that right? Or
No, not really.
Okay.
It was about less than 1 year.
okay.
Yeah. We dated for a year and a half, and then the next year we got married.
Okay. Got married.
Yeah.
All right. So you're already rolling. So, so when he's at OU, so he's an assistant there, I think, right? So he's with Barry Switzer at the time.
At OU, he was grad assistant.
Grad
yeah.
assistant,
Uh-huh.
okay. So kind of
For 2 years.
For 2 years, breaking into the ranks. Okay. So with OU and during the time there, he was a national champ. They won a national championship with old Coach Switzer, who during my time he was still pretty active because Bob Stoops was still there and Switzer'd shoot by, so that was always pretty fun. All right, then Northern Arizona, they were at Eastern Illinois. They won Division II national championship while he was there, and then Minnesota for a year, and then Florida for a couple, I believe. So made the college ranks and all that kind of stuff. So by that time, then, as a full-time assistant, as people may or may not know, then you got recruiting and the hours and all that kind of stuff. So when did you start to kind of really appreciate kind of just the way football coaches work in their lives? Like, was that right away? Because like the GA thing's already pretty intense. In fact, sometimes it's even worse. You can't recruit, but they expect you in that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, did you know what you were getting into, or when did you realize, like, holy cow?
Well, at first, I really thought he might just be a high school coach. Like go back to Chicago, coach high school, because, he loved the area and knew a lot of the coaches there.
Right.
I didn't know how hard it was to get into college coaching, which is what he wanted to do. He just didn't know if he'd be able to do it.
Yeah, right.
And so I was kind of more prepared to be in Illinois and Chicago. But then it happened. He, had a great deal going to Oklahoma with Barry. And then it just went into college.
Yeah.
And then we just moved every year for 4 years. And so I just kind of had to keep adjusting. And and then we had Kyle way before we planned on it.
Yeah.
But part of that was the moving too, because I was in Minnesota, and I had decided to do court reporting. So I was going to school for that for a year.
Okay.
Because you can't really have a job when you're moving every year.
It's tough.
I thought about going into real estate. Well, no, that won't work either. But anyway, then I didn't get court reporting because then we ended up having Kyle, and there you go.
Well, I know a lot of court reporters from my years being a lawyer, so that probably spare you on that one. So that's okay. A lot of boring depositions and all that.
Yeah.
And it worked out. In the end, you didn't have to work.
No.
Didn't need the 2 jobs after.
No,
all.
I did work.
Yeah.
I raised 2 kids.
Well, no, okay. That's exactly what Jan would say.
Yes.
She'd be like,
She should.
right. No, I'm not doing that. Outside the home. So,
Right.
okay. So, perfect. Okay. So, it kind of sped. And then was there a moment, though, like you go, gosh, I can't believe how busy this is, or how crazy it is, or how many hours he's gone, or on the road all the time and all that kind of stuff? Or do you just, hey, this is what I bought into and it's all good, let's roll?
Yeah, I think you either accept it really quick, because there's nothing he can do to change it.
No, that's the nature of the business.
Or it's probably not going to be very good.
Yeah.
So
All right.
you only have 2 choices.
You got 2 choices. Okay. And on our show, we talk a lot about mindset and kind of mental prep and all that kind of stuff about people, things they do with that. So there's that kind of awakening. And so, you guys are in love, have young Kyle. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so there you are. And it was just kind of like, it's just what we do. And so really wasn't a big decision or anything. It's just like, it's my husband does it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go with it.
We just kind of fell into it and kept doing it.
Yeah, I think Jan would say the same thing about our years. Just, didn't like being gone all the time because she's used to her dad farming.
Yeah.
And walk in, have coffee, go back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Around 24/7, the same farm.
Right,
it's a lot different
right.
farming.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. So from that, okay, all right. Then let's see. I think most of the progressions for Coach Mike at that time were all kind of moving his career along. So he had a year or 2 here, GA, and then got an assistantship, and then kind of kept moving along. So none of those in there he was let go per se. And I think you've already talked. Anything else about all those transitions and dealing with a kid and all that kind of stuff? That would.
It was easy. Before you had children, it was pretty easy. Moving to Arizona was a little hard, because I didn't mind moving anywhere. I thought that sounded great. But clear across the country, I wasn't positive about that. And so I was a little homesick there, but we were only there for 9 months.
Yeah.
And then we're moving back to Illinois.
Right.
He was interviewed to be the head coach at Eastern Illinois. He was so young, it was ridiculous, but the other guy that got it, Daryl Mudra, he'd been at Florida State, he'd been several places.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And they happened to be there at the same weekend being interviewed, and so they met, and Daryl called him right after they hired Daryl. Daryl found out, and he said, "Would you be my coordinator?" And so that's how we immediately left Northern Arizona. And then we were only there a year because they won a national championship, which they had never done. They hardly ever had a winning season.
Right.
And then we went to Minnesota.
Okay.
Which, that was a good year. We were only there 1 year also. And then Charlie Pell called from Florida and said he wanted to interview, talk to the head coach at Minnesota. And it's kind of funny. I think we all laugh about it now, but Mike came home and told me and goes, but he said, I better decide if I want to move or not, because if I go for the interview, then I'm
Not coming back.
right.
Yeah, I know those situations too.
And so it was Minnesota. I hadn't grown accustomed to it yet because it was so cold.
Right.
And that was when I was pregnant with Kyle, and I'm like, get on that plane and get
Let's
down
go.
there right now.
Go and get the job.
And don't come back.
Yeah. Right.
So that's how that happened. And then we were there 4 years, so that was quite a while.
You know, that point though, I just to kind of draw that out, because there are coaches that do everything they can to get their guys places, you know, like to get a coordinator job and do that kind of and advance their career and do that. And then there are coaches that don't, you know, they kind of, not that they're going to write you a bad letter or not say good things about you, but they're in that conversation though, a lot of folks have faced that well, fine, you better get the job, because if you don't,
Right.
you're not coming back. And so that is really tough, and it's unfortunate that there are people like that, because it's makes it hard. Because I mean, if you're in that situation, everybody wants to work up, be a coordinator, has
Sure.
aspirations to be a head coach, and
Yeah.
it's tough if the head guy's not helping you out.
Right.
So that's really
It
tough.
is.
So, okay, so we'll get back to a little bit of that. So we got the jump coming up. So then we have the two kids. I put in there who's the favorite, but that was a smiley face because I know you love them both dearly. So Kyle, and then Crystal's the younger. How many years behind Kyle is she?
2 years younger.
2 years younger. Okay. And so.
But most people would say Crystal's a favorite
Oh, why is that?
because she never got in trouble.
But Kyle did.
And Kyle was, always doing some mess up here or there.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that then.
Oh, I probably shouldn't.
All right. Well, if you think of something that you feel like you can, we don't want. I'm not trying to do that, but there's always some of those younger ones that are just mischievous without full
Right.
damage. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't horrible about it, but Crystal was kind of like always the perfect,
Right.
like easy child, easy everything. He was, walking at a year, crawling out of his crib. I mean, he was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
A
always
lot of
one
work,
those.
Kyle.
A lot of work, and he knows. He hears it all the time.
Oh, good for that.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Well, then, so we're kind of college, and then we're going to jump into a little bit of pro stuff. So, anything we haven't talked about though, that kind of a big memory from those days, either a big win or a moment or something along either, whether it's family or football.
College?
Yeah, those college era years.
It was huge when Eastern Illinois won the national championship.
Kind of blew everything open.
Oh, because, well, first of all, they had never really been good in
Right.
football ever. And Daryl Mudra went in and basically told the whole team, we're going to be in a playoff. We're going to have a winning season, and we're going to do it this year. And everyone was like, he doesn't know, he doesn't understand. And they win the national championship.
Right.
And so it was just, the whole town it was like a shock,
Right.
So that was awesome.
So that's pretty cool. So, and maybe we can get into that. So I know you weren't in the locker room a lot when Coach Mike was doing all of his stuff, but there's one thing, we talk a lot about manifestation, with your life, and that life rises up to meet your expectations and the energy you project. And so that's kind of a great example of it, that the players don't even get it, but when a head coach can come in and kind of just start acting like, we are a good team, you're quality players, and we're going to win, all of a sudden they start believing in something that maybe they didn't even know existed, but just because one or two people start believing in it, it can kind of change the entire atmosphere and culture of a team.
Right. It's contagious.
It is
It
contagious.
can be.
Yeah.
And, that's what you hope, by bringing it out.
Right.
And then, boy, it worked.
All right. And where's Coach Mike on that kind of stuff?
I think he's kind of the same way. It wasn't like Denver had never done anything, because Denver had done a lot. And always close. We were here when we lost 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
But it's just, I don't know, you've got to start it that way. When he became the head coach here, he talked to the team the first time he talked, and he said there's going to be changes. Some people aren't going to like it. Maybe your best friend on the team is not going to be here, blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you, give me time and we will be winning Super Bowls. And they did. They changed it a lot. And it doesn't always happen, but at least the players can believe in something, and look forward to
Right.
goals.
And certainly, coach has that reputation of that, setting very clear expectations for players, with high expectations for outcomes as well. So it's one of those things, obviously expected in the NFL. Okay, so then let's move on to the NFL.
Okay.
Okay, so life changes. So we jump to the NFL. I've got down his first job, 1984, as an assistant with the Broncos.
Yes.
That seem right?
Yep.
Okay. So just tell what was kind of different about that situation from your perspective. So you're coach's wife, assistant, all that kind of stuff, the national champ, Florida, that's big time football. So I know, his aspiration clearly, D2 is great, but everyone wants to coach at D1, and then you're trying to climb the ladder and do all that. So great experiences there. Then he makes it into the Broncos. How did he leverage that? Did he know somebody, how to get his foot in the door there? And what was that like for you guys moving from college to professional?
That, he didn't really know anyone, but he had talked, and some scouts, when they'd come to a scout, they would talk to him and say, would he be interested in the NFL? And he would always say yes. And so he kind of kept trying to slide it in when something like that would happen, kind of just to maybe get my reaction, which wasn't very good because I never watched professional football either.
Okay.
But so then I loved college.
Right, because that's your world.
And the SEC was really, fun.
It's fun, yeah, there's no doubt. Good teams and
So by the end of our fourth year, I thought, oh, this is going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And Philadelphia and Denver had called. And so I think someone he realized later who had recommended Mike to several teams was Gil Brandt with the Cowboys at that time.
Very influential person in football, so that's a great person to have on your team.
I can't really tell you why or how. I mean, it kind of, when Mike did go to Denver, it kind of got around that he was my uncle because my maiden name was Brandt.
Oh.
And so
it was an inside job.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Wasn't, right.
And so it wasn't actually when Mike did it. I think we were at Florida when we were almost ready to leave. And someone there said, I understand your uncle is Gil Brandt with the Cowboys. And I go, no. I don't know him. But anyway, so that was kind of funny. But so when he went to visit Philly, I said, oh my gosh, that's cold too. That's cold. And so
you're a weather temperature
I was.
person. Yeah, right.
I
okay.
love Florida. I didn't want to leave ever. But so I go, okay.
Right.
So he got an offer for both. He got a larger offer at Philly than Denver. And I go, oh, I don't care. Let's go to Denver. Let's not do that. It just sounded better.
Yeah,
pretty mountains.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so it worked out.
It kind of worked out.
And I thought I was going to be really bored and never liked pros, but that changes too, like that.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to know all the players, it's the same.
It's just, still football. It's just everything's a little bit amped up, a little bit different. Yeah. It's a bit more businessy, but even that's kind of changed. But,
that's true.
And then how about the season though for him? Because it's a longer season. Now, the nice thing is you don't really have recruiting per se. So that's kind of all, you don't have that kind of travel, but the season's longer, the hours are a little bit different and all that. So what did you notice from your end, while you're raising the kids and here you are in Denver and then now he's an assistant in the NFL? Was that a big difference or change for you?
Yeah, I think later, especially when he came into the league, they would be there till midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Go back at 6. Now you do that every once in a while if you're on a 6-week, you played Monday night,
right.
You're going to be short on enough sleep. But it's gotten so much better, I think, but you have to just go with it because it's not going to change. If you complain about it, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of life's complain to each other.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
one of, ways you get close with people, and you just kind of better be easy to be strong and do a lot and be on your own.
You just got to strap on. It's just what.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
the
part of the
culture of the
job.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met one of my early mentors was Bill Brazier. He was our defensive coordinator at Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to always tell young coaches that if you can go and do anything else, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't do anything else other than football, then it is what it is. But just because of that, the hours and the travel and the recruiting
And moving.
and just all the moving, the things that happens to your family.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of craziness involved that a lot of people would look at and go, "What the
Why?
what the
Why do
hell are
you
you
do
doing?" Yeah, right.
And we tried. I mean, when Kyle was young, we tried until probably 6th, 7th grade to talk him into being a lawyer,
Yeah,
because he argued a lot and he was very good at it.
right.
He was grounded for 6 weeks when he was in 7th grade, and we were at Saratoga
Yeah,
with the 49ers. It was over. I can't even tell you what it was over. But Mike and I were sitting there, and he came in and he wanted to do something or whatever. And I goes, no. And so then he would start his argument on why he should be able to. And it got to the point where Mike goes, if you say one more word, you have another week, because now you're grounded for the week. He could not help himself.
yeah.
He did it 6 times, so he was grounded 6 weeks. Now, who does that hurt the most? The mother.
Darn right.
The mother.
Dad's putting the discipline down. Right.
When Kyle walked up to his room, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You can't do that to me.
You were saying that to Mike.
Yes. Oh, it was so hard. Oh my gosh. That was hard. But yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then he trots off to the office and goes to
Yes.
games and all that, and here you are.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Say, listen, if anybody's going to be putting the discipline down, it's going to be me.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe do a little different.
right.
Okay. Well, then we have so then we got Denver. So your Broncos assistant coach. I got 84 to 87, and then there was a little note in there. I just kind of remember I was reading about those teams that the Reeves coach Reeves and Elway, that kind of dynamic and split. I don't know anything from those years when you were in Denver that kind of stuck out that either kind of made it hard or was kind of a growing learning edge for you guys.
I think it was towards our last year, I think, because John had been there then 5 years. Their personalities just probably didn't, they just clashed probably sometimes. Maybe Dan and John just maybe weren't on the same page a
Mhm.
little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of flare-ups happened. Then when we left,
But was Mike the OC at that time?
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's hard. I mean, so
Right.
there's kind of this
'Cause
triangle.
he was in the middle.
Yeah, because you got the head coach who's
Yeah.
always tinkering with it.
Right.
Even if they're defensive people, they still mess with the offense.
Right.
So they always do. And then you got Mike, and then you got Elway, and there's this weird dynamic going there, and it makes it super tough
Yeah.
on the OC to kind of
Yeah.
because you're trying to get your guy ready to play, take care of all those things, and that's a hard situation to be in.
Yeah, it was. That was probably because it lingered, because, it went quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then we left.
Yep.
And then we left, went to the Raiders. We were only there a year and 4 weeks,
Yep.
which was good. And then they wanted us to come back to Denver. And so then, we can go on to that. But it was still the same.
Same
And it
thing.
might have been worse, because at one point there were rumors that Dan was going to trade John to Washington. And so it almost was worse when we came back.
So it hadn't gone.
So
anywhere.
there was always a little.
Yeah, there's a rub there.
Yeah.
Well, let's just put the
Which
Raider
is
thing
good.
in. Okay, so 1988, I've got 89 with the spillover, but just basically one season. You guys got hired, so the Raiders' job is open, and Mike goes out and replaces Flores, I think, if I have it right, who'd been a very popular coach, won a
Right.
Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. So he goes out, and so how was it with Al Davis? Obviously, wasn't what you guys planned, but what was the change going to head coach, going into a situation like that, and what do you remember about that whole deal?
I didn't want to go in the first place. You know, when I like a place, I just really don't care if we move on here. But, and because it was Al.
Yeah.
The Raiders and Broncos were just
That's pretty big rivalry.
hatred.
Yes.
Hatred. And so you never heard one good thing about Al Davis,
Never.
you know, being at Denver. And so I had a lot of question marks. And then, you know, that came true pretty quick. They just probably never were meant to be together.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was around Al Davis, he was very nice. I liked him.
But he's got a reputation of being quite the micromanager.
Yeah.
Kind of involved in the coaches' businesses and doing all that kind of stuff, and really likes to direct. And I mean, I read a few short passages about that, about Mike trying to, well, Al would hire guys not approved by Mike. Mike would try to fire guys, and then Al would put them back on the staff, and they just this ongoing conflict the whole time. So tough spot to be into. So, all right, and then so was getting fired at the Raiders, was that Mike's first fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how was that on your? I mean, it sounds like you're kind of glad it was over, but it's never fun to get fired.
Well, yeah, it's never fun to get fired, but I mean, we just knew it was going to be
something was going to happen.
We thought it might, you know, would be the end of the first year, but so you know, you're. It's not that you're happy about it. You're nervous because, well, maybe he'll never have another chance,
Right.
you know, of being head coach.
Because that's his first one.
That was his first one. He was young. How old was he? 30, I think 35 when he got that job, I think. And then, you know, we did immediately, the owner for the Broncos called, and then Dan called, and so Mike went back,
Yeah.
like, boom. So he was like only home like maybe 2 days, and he had another job.
That's how it goes.
So yeah,
That's a good thing.
yeah, but getting fired is never fun in any job, period. So
It's not.
you know,
Yep. Still tough. Yeah, because you think you're going to be able to do all those things, but great learning experience. Chance to be the head guy, kind of pull all those pieces together, and it's good to try one anyway. You know,
Yeah.
because I think the research shows coaches in their second or third job are like 60% more successful than first timers. I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Unless they get enough time, you know, to do it. Okay, so we're Denver round 2. So we're back 1989 to 91. I got about 3 years back in as the assistant coach, working OC, I believe. So was it good to be back? And what do you remember from that stint?
it was great to be back. You know, we weren't gone very long. I had my same old friends. I played tennis with same people I played tennis with. It was easy. The kids were good about it. They were, I think Crystal was then in 3rd grade. Kyle was in 5th. They had their same friends. We moved back. It was like we weren't gone.
It was like a long vacation.
So it worked great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then and Mike's obviously probably pretty happy to be back, and things are going good, although there's still
There's still, that.
still some stuff going on with that.
And then we were in another Super Bowl, of course, that we lost.
Yep.
51-10,
Yep.
49ers.
Yep.
Oh, it was horrible.
I remember watching the game.
But
So,
it was almost expected. Maybe not that big of a
yeah.
division, but 49ers just so good that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
I think Mike's been in 5 Super Bowls.
4 with Denver, 1 with San Francisco.
Because he's won 3.
8 or 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's a couple in there that.
Denver was 4 that we lost. We were in a Super Bowl. We lost.
Okay, more on that later.
Yeah.
All right. So so 90. So I got 92 to 94. So we're off to the Niners with George Seifert out there. Things are fired up and motoring out there. Okay. So after that brutal loss, then he gets hired by those folks and goes out, and ends up being the offensive coordinator out there. So how was that trip to the Bay and that experience with the Niners?
Well, that was awesome, but I will tell you a funny story about that.
Oh, good.
So,
How did all that happen?
the day Mike got let go from the Broncos, it was end of his contract too. And Mike called me and said, "Okay, well, they just let me go. So I'll be home in about 5 minutes. I go, are you serious? I mean, that was a big, big surprise.
So his contract coaching was ending, and they didn't renew it.
Right.
Okay. Was that expected, or did you guys see it?
No, it wasn't. No, not for us. It wasn't expected at all. But there was a lot of jealousy going through this, and it was still involved,
A lot of relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to us. But, so Mike got home, and he had been home maybe like 20 minutes, and he got a phone call from Pittsburgh. He had just gotten the head job. I can't think of his name now.
Mike Tomlin?
No, the one before Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, blanket toe.
Oh my gosh.
Seems
Anyway,
perfect. Yeah,
he
okay.
called and said, Mike, would you like to come out and interview for offensive coordinator? And so Mike said, sure. So I think they set it up where he was going to come out the next day or whatever. And so Mike flew out, and he said, okay, I've got to do a few more interviews, then I'll call and let you know. So then San Francisco called and asked him to come out for an interview with George Carmen, policy call. He was on his honeymoon in Hawaii, but so he wasn't going to be there. He just wanted to talk to Mike before he went to the interview. So Mike got on a plane and went to San Francisco. He got a call from Pittsburgh saying, we definitely want to hire you, but it was on a message because he was interviewing with the 49ers. So then Mike gets it. The 49ers did not right then say that they would hire him or wanted to hire him. So Mike's getting ready. He's at the airport coming back. He calls me. He tells me to call Bill Cowher.
Yeah, Bill Cowher. There we go.
And tell him.
Sorry, Bill.
I know. Sorry, Bill.
Jeez.
Sorry. And tell him that I'm coming.
Right.
Because I don't want to take the chance and not be able to go with Bill if I don't get it here.
Yeah.
And so I did. He was going to the theater to see a movie with his two daughters, and so I told him how excited Mike was and that he would call him when he got back in town.
Right, okay.
So then I'm going to pick Mike up at the airport 2 hours later, and Carmen calls and introduces himself and everything. He goes, I got to talk to Mike immediately. And I go, okay, I'm on the way to the airport to pick him up. He goes, the minute you get there, will you tell him to call me? And so I said, okay, I will. And I'm thinking, oh no. So anyway, I tell Mike, and he goes, oh, okay. So he calls him, they're offering him the job.
Yeah. So now he's already taken the Pittsburgh job.
So now he had me call to say he was coming to Pittsburgh. And now he's like, oh my gosh, now I've got to call. Because he will understand this, I know. I think actually he knew he was going out there. Because Mike and Bill were good friends. And so I'm like, yeah. Which he did. Bill was awesome about it.
Right.
I have to do this, and then
so who called Cowher back?
I screwed it up.
Who called Cowher to tell him?
Oh, he did.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you didn't make.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it was like I can't believe I did that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But so anyway, going to 49ers, it was awesome. I love that. San Francisco's always been my favorite city.
Okay.
It's changed a lot since then,
Sure, yeah.
downtown, but it's still a beautiful city. And we really enjoyed it. Our first year, I think then Dan Reeves was let go at the Broncos, and they wanted to interview Mike, and so Mike was offered the job, but he just didn't feel good about some of the situations. Being at the 49ers for a year, he knew how they ran their team.
Yeah.
And so Mike wanted to be able to run if he took that job at Denver, from all he had learned through,
Sure.
Just everything being as good as you could have it.
Right.
So then we came back And we were there another 2 years and won one Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yep. So let's see. We got
Cowboys beat us the other 2 years.
yeah. So 94 Super Bowl, the won that one, and then lost the other ones. Okay. So that's all good and percolated along. Had a chance to think about the Broncos, but the timing wasn't quite right. However, in 1995, I believe, that changes. And so we are Denver round 3.
Round 3.
Coming back to the Broncos.
Yes.
All right, so you guys come back. So tell us how that, and I've got some pieces in here, but I don't think they're all accurate because I think there's a few more. But anyway, Mike, you guys had an incredible run. I mean, it was actually really amazing. So tell us a little bit how you ended up coming back, because obviously the head coach got let go at the Broncos, and then after winning the Super Bowl and being there those few years in the Niners, did he feel like then he was going to have the authority and control to do the things that he wanted to do? What had changed that made the Broncos head coaching job more kind of amenable?
I think Pat Bowlen realized that that's what he needed to do. And he really wanted Mike. Mike and Pat had a great relationship from when we went there the first year. And so he just decided he had to do it in order for Mike to come. And so it worked well. It was like one of the first things Mike did was put in, lunch for them all. Breakfast, they'd have certain things ready. Just little things that not every club did. I think they do now, but the 49ers already did it.
Right.
They might have been the only one, but yeah, Mike learned a lot from DeBartolo and everyone.
Just how they ran the organization,
Yeah.
things they did for the players.
Just
And that's,
so
I think
all
that-
class.
Yeah, I think that's true. The
Yeah.
Niners have had for a long time and still do. The money they put back into the players and the things that they do for them and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing. So Mike tried to bring some of those kind of things along with all the stuff he learned about the West Coast offense, the run-heavy West Coast offense by Mike Shanahan. So at least that. Okay, so you guys come back. In that time period, I've got made the playoff 7 times, 3 times in the AFC title game, won 2 Super Bowls. And I had down appeared in 5, but I think you're right, 7, because he had the other ones, I think, weren't counted with the Niners. All right, then he's also one of only 12 head coaches to win over 100 games. And Mike ended his career with 178 victories, if that sounds right. Do you know?
No.
Okay, that's what stats had. And then one of only 6 coaches to win back-to-back Super Bowls, which is pretty tough anyway.
Yeah.
So there's only 6 head
I know
coaches
that.
that have done it. Now, the other thing that was different, though, I think that when he came back, he eventually was the executive VP football operations, so he kind of took over that general manager kind of job. How did that make a big, how was that different from your perspective? Did you see was there a difference in time, responsibilities in that, or was that just part when he came back, they wanted to give him total control so he could have more influence not only on the field, but culturally as well as selecting players?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything really because,
Gone is gone. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like that was normal, anywhere out. It wasn't normal anywhere, but that was, we weren't at the Raiders long enough to really even have a clue, and you knew you weren't ever going to be in charge. You knew that quick.
Right.
So, no, I guess that's it.
But things started, so the winning, because, Dan Reeves had won. They just had won like they wanted to win. And so they got through all that, and so they kind of kept the consistency, doing all those kind of pieces, made it to the Super Bowl and that. How was finally winning the Super Bowl for the Broncos and being a part of that? That must have been really, really special.
It was, because it was so special for the whole Bronco nation, the town. It's a small, big town, but everyone is almost glued in to the Broncos in this town.
Very passionate.
So it was great. And they had lost, several. Because the first one they lost was 77, I guess, when, I can't think of who was there then. Of course, I didn't watch football, so. But yeah, so it was awesome. It was just great. And, just the next year it continued, and
There we go. We're
I
just
thought
winning.
it was going to continue like every single year. You're going to just keep racking up those Super Bowls.
That's how we want it, but a lot harder than the NFL is a very unforgiving
It
business.
is.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen very often.
Well, I think people, really study, and with fantasy football and people, I think they appreciate the data and the stats now, but the margin of error for teams is so slim. And, one major injury, or this or that, or, and really when it comes down to it, there's, in my mind, most games are decided by like 5 plays or less. There's a couple, in close games. And
Yeah.
a lot of the NFL games, most of them, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And if you don't show
Right.
up right and you don't play well,
Right.
somebody can knock you off. And it is so hard to repeat, and with injuries and trades and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So, okay, so.
Or it can be a downpour, like a monsoon,
Yeah, like
flow down.
Niners went into Chicago and
Yeah.
just got, the fourth quarter there was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so you just don't
crazy.
know, weird weather and all those kind of weird things that can happen.
And they're having rain this Sunday, I think, again.
Right,
Here.
I know, so rained
So 3 weekends.
three weekends in a row, so we're kind of dealing with that. So it just, now against Seattle, that was really spotty. It kind of rained second half,
Yeah.
a little bit heavier than, you might think, but it was, so we'll see what it goes here. So it's supposed to be kind of not super strong, but looking outside right now, it looks like it's going to be kind of tough. Yeah, I got off the plane and it's supposed to be 75 and it's 53 degrees. I was
Oh, it was 92 yesterday.
like,
And it was 57 when I was in the car at noon.
they're just getting ready for the Niners.
Colorado,
Yeah.
their
we-
weather's crazy.
Okay, so, well then, just to kind of finish that piece of the story. So, so those games were 97 and 98, then continue. You guys are here until 2008.
Yep.
And so in that season, you guys were on track to make the playoffs. Then an unfortunate 3-game losing streak toward the end, finished 8-8, and then in a tiebreaker, I think with the Jets, missed the playoffs. And so then ownership kind of pulled the plug. So just, that's really painful. You guys have been here a long time, faced the franchise, a lot of winning. So how was that to go through, from your perspective, and what was your side?
Well, that was kind of a shock too, because no one really expected that. But, Pat Bolin has passed away. He passed away a couple of years ago. We got over it really quick. A lot of things were going on within the organization, changing up the way they were doing things on the boards and different things. Pat was trying to have health problems. So as we look back and think back, it wasn't really that strange.
Not a shocker.
Yeah.
Like if you're kind of looking at it.
Yeah.
So, well, one thing.
They still, the last years, Mike would always love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he is in the Broncos Ring of Fame.
Yes.
So.
We did that last year.
Yeah. So there's clearly a lot of love there for that. Well, so our listeners will remember, we talk a lot about, there's 3 kind of out of the Buddhist tradition, not quite this way, but one of them is that nothing is permanent.
No.
So even the good things are going to change, and the bad things, they're also going to evolve, and
Right.
nothing's perfect and nothing's personal. And so a lot of these things are just like, things come to an end, and all of life has stages and transitions, and especially coaching. And sometimes coaches are there and it's just time,
Right.
A lot of folks move, they just have a kind of 5 to 7 or 8 year rule, and then
Yeah.
you see some of these folks around for 20 plus years, and there's not very many of them because people can't stay in those jobs. But even then, culturally, sometimes it's really helpful.
Change is good.
Change is good, yeah, just to freshen
It
things up.
is.
Even for the coach,
Yeah.
as well as for the team and the
No,
organization.
there's no question.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so then takes a year off, and then we enter the Washington era.
Fun time.
Well, tell us about that. How did that go down, and what was your kind of view on things from there?
I was leery about that one too.
Right.
So I picked 2 good ones to be leery about.
You were right.
Yeah.
Does he look back now and say,
I love being right. Only I wish I wasn't right on those situations.
Right.
But,
okay,
we knew, the rumors about the ownership there, but he promised that wouldn't happen or anything, and it still did. There wasn't a lot you could do about it. You were going to do the best you could do, and
Yep.
So it just, it just didn't work out.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, it's tough, especially being in an organization before where you had more autonomy, more control, more ability to do all those things. And then you go into a situation and you can't kind of tweak and fix things that you think they should. It almost feels like you didn't really get a fair shot.
Or
to
you
try
don't
to win.
get to be a part of the draft.
Yeah, right. You're not picking your.
And maybe who's doing the draft doesn't know. And so that's hard.
Right.
And you don't want to be there.
See, and the other really interesting thing about that is because, like, if you look in the NFL, there are different type. There's probably 3 or 4, maybe 4 offenses. Different kind of approaches. They kind of fit into categories.
Yep.
But if you're trying to run one, but you're drafting for something else, it just doesn't fit. The way Kyle runs the Niners.
Right.
I mean, we typically run heavy team. We're gonna do some play action. He likes to throw the ball down the field a little bit, but I mean, that's got to be structured in a way to allow you to do that. And other teams, if they're spread or they have a lot of QB run game and all that, and so if you're not drafting consistent with what the coach is trying to implement, it's super painful and really difficult.
It usually won't work.
It does not work.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
And even then, coaches, because you're going to be working, coaching, mentoring that player. And if you didn't have a lot of role into picking them, you get people that just aren't a good fit. So
Right.
very difficult situation to be in. So, but now the one thing, Coach Mike and Kyle unite. So now by this time, Kyle's been in the NFL. So he played at Texas and then he got in the NFL since 2004. So then in 2010, when Mike gets the head job at Washington, he hires Kyle. So tell us about now you're wife and mom. So how did that go down, and what are you thinking about all that?
I was very worried about that one. But I knew it was going to happen because they had talked about it. Mike said, Kyle, go to UCLA, be a grad assistant.
Yep.
And then he had a chance to go to Tampa with Gruden as a
Quality control type.
control.
Yeah. I have them.
And
UCLA, Tampa Bay Bucks, 2004, 2005. Yeah, offensive quality control. Yep.
yeah, which one of his favorite places because his office was a closet.
Yeah, right. I know. That's how those guys were. Because things were still kind of expanding, and the number of coaches and all that stuff was just starting to really take off and roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'd have
Yeah.
bizarre places.
And Gruden also had very late hours, or get up at 3 a.m. whatever. So Kyle would have to go along with it. Kyle likes it. No,
Yeah.
it was torture for him, the hours.
Yeah.
But and then big coordinator, he went to Texas, the Texans, and he was there 3 years. So that was 6 years, and he did well in coordinating for Gary. And so Mike knew he wanted Kyle to prove himself that he was going to be a good coach without the name.
Yep.
And so then, and of course, Mike thought he was doing great, so he wanted him. He would have picked him as his coordinator, whether it's his son or not.
Yeah, it just was kind of
So
benefit.
that's how. And then, it was hard, but at the same time, it was so nice they had just had Stella, their first baby. It was nice. We got to spend more time, together. If they were on different teams and they both were going through a bad season,
Right.
it would have been the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened they were on the same team.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get kind of talking, all that kind of stuff. So, well, okay. I think we talked about most of those kind of things, and then I guess Washington wrapped that up. That ended in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, Mike hasn't taken another head job, although he interviewed for a couple, and I don't know exactly what happened with those. Either he didn't take them or it didn't work out, whatever. So he had some interviews and all that kind of stuff. So, and then Kyle's career kind of takes off, and then Mike's kind of is a part of that. So, anything about these last years in Mike's career and you along with that we haven't talked about that from your end is kind of helpful or important?
Well, I think Mike has been asked to be a consultant for quite a few teams, but he never wanted to do that because he feels like this is Kyle's time. He wants to be able, if he's going to consult,
Yeah.
then he would want to consult with that situation and the 49ers.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So it's just, it works out perfect.
Yeah.
You know, he was ready. He was done. He can go there, do a few extra things if they want because they don't have time to do it. Leave. He can see the playbooks. He can see anything in Cabo.
Yeah.
He can pick. It's like perfect.
Yeah,
for him.
technology's really helps because
Yes.
I'm sure he's got a Niners iPad.
Yes.
He can watch all the practice film. He can watch that, look through the scripts, see all the drawings, all that kind of stuff, and then now he has a lot better access to Kyle than I do. Kyle never returns any. I don't know.
He probably doesn't. He doesn't mind either. No.
Kyle doesn't.
No.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't have Kyle's number, so I'm not saying that. But
Well, it wouldn't
I
help
would
you
call
probably.
no.
Well, he might call you.
I don't know. But he doesn't call his mom.
Well, he will. He'll get around to it.
Right.
But it's usually like Friday night or, Thursday on the way home, like about 10:30.
Yeah.
I mean, he just doesn't have time to call anyone, really.
Yeah. No, I know.
Although,
That's
he
neat.
does call Mike every once in a while when he wants him to, like, check something out.
Yeah. Think about this.
Then you got time.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're just finishing up. So we just finished with kind of Washington and all that kind of stuff, and we're getting into the Kyle Shanahan era. So pretty exciting there. So when we took a break, Coach Mike had just walked down, so we thank him for his quick appearance. He didn't want to appear on camera, although we might invite him for a little prologue later. But anyway, all right, so we're moving into those eras. So we kind of talked about the OC stuff and Mike at Washington. Did I leave something out there? And I think we kind of talked about that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I guess one of the things that happened after that, though, so after that, obviously Kyle stayed in coaching, and then he ended up OC at the Falcons and ends up being part of the Super Bowl team there. So I don't know, maybe because now Mike's not in coaching and now Kyle is, and so how do your lives kind of change? And then what was it like being the mom, as part of the Falcon run there?
Well, it changed a lot because he was around a lot more.
Yep.
So that was kind of like getting used to that again.
Yep.
When that happens, you just wait.
Oh no, you know what? I would just tell the story just because my mom, when my dad finally retired, it drove her crazy. It drove her literally crazy because he was kind of a 7-8, he was an engineer, all that kind of stuff. And then what really got it was because they eventually got a place down in Padre Island, and so she would go down there, and he of course would work. He'd come down for like a week, and then he would fly back, leave her the car, and then come down 2 months later for another week and all that. Well, then when he retired, because she loved going down there for 2 months, because she didn't have to do any laundry for anybody else. There was nothing. It was just her on the beach.
Right.
And then he starts showing up, and now she's back like my life's not, so anyway, that's really tough. So, all right, good. So now Mike's around a lot. I don't know, whatever you want to say about that.
But you know what? It's actually, we've kind of got it down now. But our daughter lives on the East Coast in Connecticut. And then, Kyle, well, first I think he went to Cleveland for a short year. And then down to Atlanta. Then, we're lucky because we can travel, as you can do. And so it's, we really enjoy it. We get to spend time with all of our grandkids. Right. We get to go, not to Padre Island, but we go to Cabo. And
we're kind of Cabo.
Yeah.
The Bajas have been really good. I like some places around the corner a little bit, but George loves Cabo, so it's really fun.
Yeah. So, and it's easy.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm on a plane a little more than I want, but you gotta do that to go. So we like it. We enjoy it a lot.
Okay.
And what was your question about?
Just the Falcons. I mean, obviously that was exciting to get to the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff. Obviously disappointing loss and all that, but any memories from that piece that, kind of being the mom and all that kind of thing?
I started getting a little worried at the the first half. But Brady had done it to us several times too, so I mean, you never count him out.
No.
Never. But it was a great experience. They really enjoyed Atlanta. And then this came up. So we kind of knew it was going to happen after.
Oh, were they already in conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So this that she's talking about, of course, is the Niners. So for you Niner fans, so Kyle's the offensive coordinator there, and everybody thought he'd done a great job, and they had an amazing year. They had, oh, you're kind of sneaking over there. Okay, and yeah, but he'd done a great job, and Matt Ryan had the year of his life and all that kind of stuff, and they played really well. So heading off to the Niners, so that was disappointing. And so then, though, he's named the Niners head coach in 2017, along with John Lynch as the new GM. So how exciting was that?
That was exciting. I mean, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
For John. You know, he was doing great in broadcasting, and we kind of never really even thought about it. John still lived, you know, here in Denver, which we'd see him quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, not like it couldn't happen, but it's not like you'd think who's going to be the next, you know, you wouldn't go, oh, John, you know, because he just seemed like his career was going in a little bit different direction. So, but
yeah.
So it is, but okay, obviously.
But it's awesome. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
Kyle was so excited. It, you know,
Yeah.
just perfect.
Because you guys have known he's been in the family for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So it was awesome.
Okay. And then what's it like to have your son now named a head coach?
Well, that was awesome too. I knew, you know, Mandy, his wife, is from Denver. She was doing student teaching when Kyle started in coaching. And so she would go to all the games with me. So she was introduced to it.
She
You know,
understood.
there was no shock.
She understood what it meant. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So, I mean, she's a great head coach's wife.
She is.
She
She's amazing.
Yeah,
She
she
really
can.
is.
She could do a lot more than, you know, what I tried to do. Yeah, it's just perfect.
Yeah. No, she's great. So she does a really good job there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then, and then Super Bowl 2019-20 season, as we're rolling into COVID. So that's a whole nother story. But how was that to reach a Super Bowl with your son being the head coach and all that kind of stuff? So any different or any insights or perceptions there?
You know, I think anytime you're in a Super Bowl, whether you're a player, a coach, a backup as a player, or if you don't get in, you know, it's just horrible if you lose. Period. I mean, you can't say anything else
Right.
about it.
Right.
And to be so close
Yep.
is even more horrible.
Right. I mean, like being ahead in the third quarter and
Yes.
yeah, I know.
That's just horrible.
I was there. I know.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yep.
it happens, and you just got to go on,
Yep.
and you just got to keep working.
Yep.
And someday, knock on wood, it will happen.
Yeah.
Maybe this year. You never know.
You never know.
Got to start out that
It's
way.
few people staying healthy and just get a little bit hot
Yeah.
and things start to happen for you. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. You really don't know. So, yeah. So, I mean, one is just being at the Super Bowl is a big deal.
It is.
In that way. You know what I mean? Not to,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, everyone's there to win, of course. So just getting there because
It's hard to get
there's a lot of
there.
players who have 10-year careers and never make it to a Super Bowl.
Right.
You know, that happens a
Right.
lot. So,
a lot.
So that part about that, but I know at least in our household, and I'm sure in the Shanahan's household, you know, it's about winning it, and you want to get back, and
Right.
you want to get that ring, and you want to be able to put that into your resume that you know you won the Super Bowl because it's interesting when you look at Mike's. Nobody lists the ones that he was in as a coach and didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
You list the ones that you win, and that's obviously natural. So obviously everybody Niner fans working to get back, and so here we come. So
Yeah.
watch out. So okay, so that was a super fun year. They were so good. The playoff run that year was the win over the Vikings and the Pat. It was.
I know.
It was just everything was a beatdown. It
It
was so
was.
fun. We ran the ball for 200 yards a game, and it was just
Yeah.
crushing things. It was so fun.
But
Oh,
so was last year.
yeah,
We just didn't
quite.
get it. The
Actually,
last one. But
you know-
that was so fun too.
Last year was because really nobody really expected it, and then we got hot at the end, and we're winning these games. Then you go on the road to Dallas, and then the win at Green Bay.
Oh,
Sorry, Packer fans.
Yeah.
You're probably not watching if you're there, but
darn.
anyway, darn, not hurting our feelings. But going into Lambeau and playing them in a playoff game like that and winning was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
No, it was so fun.
I mean, that's a once in a lifetime kind of deal. So
Yeah.
that was amazing. So it was such a fun year, and then going down to the Rams, and really we're a few plays away from winning that baby
Right.
and being back in the Super Bowl. So anyway, so it's close and all that kind of stuff. So all right, now here we are, And does it feel like and the Niners have played in Kyle's tenure, I think a playoff game or something. They came up here and practiced and all that stuff. But so here we are playing a game, and I know the rivalry's not that intense. But how is it to come back? Because you guys have a home here in Denver, because you have so much history here and friends.
Mm-hmm.
How is it coming back? The Niners going to be here and all that kind of stuff for you?
It's funny that people, like I go into FedEx or I go in the post office and they're like, okay, well, who's going to win? I go, I don't know. Well, what color are you going to wear? I go, okay, this is my son.
Right. Like that's.
There is no questioning here.
Right.
I mean, and no one should be mad at me for this.
Right.
Nor Mike. But, yeah. And, it's also kind of nice. I mean, we cheer for the Broncos. They're AFC.
Yeah.
We're NFC.
Yeah.
I mean, usually we don't have this problem.
Yeah. Other than this week.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm all same thing.
But it is funny how I guess people just don't. They know he's our son, but yet I'm not going to be cheering for the Broncos.
No.
And neither would they if they thought about it.
No. Kyle's been in the family a lot longer than the Broncos. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
the Broncos, you
Yeah.
had 14 as a head coach and all the other, but still, Kyle's been around a lot longer.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, his son. And, and two, I guess from your perspective, because all the blood, sweat, and tears, time, energy, love, passion that goes into it, and how hard it is. And so, you back your family. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, football is family, but when you're playing each other, families aren't quite that. It's the distant family on the other side.
Right.
So we're not going to worry about that.
I mean, what's really hard, and it will never happen because Mike is retired, but like I called Rhonda Kubiak, Gary Kubiak's wife, the other day. And Gary's retired now too. Well, Clint Kubiak is with the Broncos. We have 2 Slowics with us. We have who coached with us. We also have a Kubiak, Clay Kubiak.
Right.
And so I go, Rhonda, do you want to sit with us? You and Gary, are you coming to the game? I'm assuming you are. Do you want to sit with us? And I know it's hard because I did do that going down to Houston when Kyle was there and Mike was coaching here. I go, you're not going to win because both can't win. And she goes, I don't think anyone's coming. And she goes, it's just too hard. It's just too hard. And I go, that's pretty smart. I should have thought of it.
Right. So
but it is so hard. It really is.
Right. Because jobs are on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, it's a business and all that kind of stuff. And so.
It is. It is.
Winning matters. So.
Yeah.
Well, good for her. That probably makes a lot of sense. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything about those days? So, because what I want to do is talk a little bit. I mentioned the mindset thing and all that kind of stuff. So, do you have any? So, we're really big on not making assumptions about people being able to take care of themselves. And when we're not interviewing, like doing some of the women that we've done and that kind of thing, we spend a lot of time with veterans, with a group called Emerging Vets and Players. If our audience knows about that. And so, most weeks we have a veteran on, and we kind of talk about that transition. And so one of the things that we're really working on is trying to take the stigma off of mental health issues. And also we really talk a lot about self-care. And it's okay to say I'm not okay today and to ask for help and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying any of that with any of your experiences, but at the same time, we're really encouraging people. So we're out of the kind of mindfulness, breath work, meditation background, yoga, or just, physical activity, take care of yourself and those kind of things. So did you have some personal practices or things that you did on a regular basis that helped you keep your sanity or, you said you played tennis. I don't know if that kind of thing, but were there things that you did? So anything, and then kind of mindset too. I mean, if nothing else, every head coach's wife that I've ever met that has sustained it as long as you have are pretty tough, badass women. Because you have to be, because you get fired, you have to change, you have to move, and there's no complaining or whining of because you don't have time.
It won't help.
And it doesn't help. And so it's just you pack, you go, you reload, and then you support your husband as best you can, and then you're back at it. So, but still, it can wear on you and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, what things have you done to take care of yourself? And knowing the wives in the sport that I've known, they do a lot to take care of their family.
They do. I think every wife is different. Look at Salah's wife.
Yeah.
She has a lot of children.
800, I think.
I think so.
Jeez, that woman is unbelievable.
And I don't know. There might be more. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I don't mean that. But
No,
it's
sorry,
a lot, though.
sorry.
She's 6 foot.
But everyone is different. Some people can handle things differently. You have to know yourself. I'm not into going to a gym. I've gone in and out. I've done Pilates. I walk. I walk when I'm in Cabo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just get up and I just like to keep busy. Just constantly keeping busy. Even if it's, us flying out to see the kids and we're doing stuff there. We never really slow down.
Right.
We just keep doing it. I think there's so many different things that are important to different people, whether it's religion, whether it's, you're helping take care of your elderly parents or,
right.
It could be anything, anyone, best friends, anyone. You just got to come, and hopefully you can do that. Hopefully you also can know when you need help. And go to your friends, go to, your minister, pray, do whatever. But you're the only one that can do it.
Yeah.
In every way.
To raise your hand up and take care of yourself and
Yeah.
ask for help in that way. And would you say, though, that the wives on the staffs, that is kind of a support group, at least?
It is.
I haven't sat in those too often, but
It is.
and some wives are closer, you're not
Sure.
super close to everybody, but and I don't know if it's really true. Like the ones I've been on, the offensive staff wives tend to, just because they're in the same rhythm, the same
It seems to flow that way,
a
but
little
yet
bit. Not always.
not always.
But
But
that's at least a
most
resource.
wives are pretty close
Yeah.
because they're all going through the same thing at the same time, and
Yeah, we're all wins,
Yeah.
losses, and husbands and all that. So have you seen the role of women in that kind of change? So I kind of had some questions about that. Just how's the role of women? I guess both in the NFL, because now we have women referees. We've had a few women coaches, kind of dabbling in those kind of things. Certainly, you have a lot more women in all the support positions.
all
That's-
support.
all the support, lots and
It's
lots
awesome.
of women there. And then on the executive side, on the kind of sweet side, you've got women in football all over the place. So what are you seeing in the cards there, or how does that strike you?
I think it's great. I think it's overdue, but there's a lot of things that are overdue, and when you're dealing with, this is a personal owner, except for like Green Bay.
Yeah.
You have one person that owns the team usually. Well, you might, have several, but you have one that's really in charge. And I just think it's up. They all have to make the move, and it seems like they are, in many different ways. I just think it's great for anyone. I think, it's, you don't want to get a job because you're just a woman, but yet you want to be interviewed for being good at what you do.
Right.
And I think, you can see that's happening more, and it's good. And it's good with every, situation. So I think it's great. I
Okay.
think the owners, it just got to the point where, we have to do this. Kind of like our whole civilization,
Yeah.
changes.
Open some doors.
Yes.
Break glass ceilings.
Yes.
Include more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, little note to NFL executives there. So we'll cut that one out.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then we kind of talked about this, but would you have any other suggestions, tips, insights for an NFL coach's wife or college coach's wife? What would you encourage them now?
Gosh, I just think you have to just flow. You have to go with it sometimes and try to keep, everyone kind of on a halfway even keel, which is very, very hard to do because it's going to be up and it's going to be down always
Right.
but it is in so many things. It's not just, football or
Yeah,
sports.
it's life, right?
Life.
Yeah, and it happens whether you're football or not. Life surprises us. There's always obstacles and all that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to one thing you said is you have to know yourself and what your own personal needs are and what your situation is. And we talk about this in our mindfulness stuff, is that kind of 4 stages of the self: to know thyself, And the second one is heal the self, and then be the self, and then share the self. But the knowledge of the self, it really is, because like if you haven't spent time getting to know what you need, because if you need a walk or you need swimming or whatever, or those kind of things in your personality and all those kind of things, so that's still a pretty cool piece of this, because you don't know what you don't know unless you try to figure it out.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, let's see. I had a little question. Any, I don't want to say favorite players, but you've been around the teams for a long time.
I cannot.
Not favorite, but are there any personalities that kind of jump out that like it was just a hoot or really, kind of fun to have them on the team?
Well, I think it's really fun to watch your son right now.
Wow.
I laugh at him all the time.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've been blessed. I mean, even we have friends from college, from Florida, that my best friend. I mean, you meet people in all ways of life, and they just stick out for some reason. So many great players. It's fun. It's a very fun profession. You meet a lot of awesome people.
Yeah.
It's more fun when you win.
Yes.
But yet, you're very lucky that you get the opportunity
To even do it.
to do it.
Yep. No, I'm totally with you on that. And it is really, when they say football's family, it is just amazing, because everybody knows kind of the grind that is part of it. And there's an appreciation for that. And then the other part, though, that at least I've seen it, is that there's a love for the game in a way, because, we talk about the game as kind of, it has its own kind of spirit. When I was at Bob would always say that don't cheat the game because the game knows. And we always took that really seriously. Like, I don't want to get weird about it, but it's like, if you don't put some time in and you don't prepare and you don't do some things, and the one thing about it, the game always will reveal your weaknesses, whether you put the time in or not. And so there's an honesty to that, and I think people really, really appreciate that. And so when you live in that kind of world and everybody's putting that kind of time in, I think the other thing too is the collegiality about, that entire staff and all those players. It's like everybody pulling on the rope toward the same goal.
For the same thing.
And you don't find that in very many places. It's even in the workplace, because I've been in law firms and you've got a litigation team over here and you got this, and then people are politicking and doing all kinds of shit. And it's just, you never feel this kind of like, when you walk in the door at the stadium or wherever the office is, the objective. It's to beat whoever you're playing that week. Yeah. And that's it, and like everybody's
One
doing
has the same objective. Every single person.
Everybody that walks in.
One thing.
Yep, so it's very clear that way. So
no political involved. There's no.
Let's get this done and win. So the Niners coming into these Broncos, we're all ready for that. We'll see how the weather holds up. Okay, last question. This is one we really like to. So the Hidden Pearls podcast is about finding the hidden pearls in all people, which means we believe everybody's got some good in them. And we're always, and our kind of mission statement is to help heal and serve the world by telling stories. So that's what we're doing. And so we always wonder, so what things, as you're sitting here at this stage in your life with all these life experiences and really a wonderful, that's a pretty rich history. It's pretty cool. So like,
I've been blessed.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what things, or what day on a day-to-day basis gives you hope?
I just have a lot of faith, and I think if you work hard and you try to keep yourself, moving in the right direction, healthy, everything, then you're giving yourself the best way to have hope.
Okay. So, which takes us back to small, consistent steps, all taken in the right direction, lead to amazing results. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
So, the little choices that we
Very
make
good.
each day lead to the outcomes that we have. And so, we're either moving in one direction toward our goals, or we're moving in another direction toward that. Okay, well, that's our outline.
Awesome.
Is there anything I didn't ask that if I knew more or was smarter that I should have asked?
No, there's not.
Okay.
You got it all.
Well, I don't know about all, but we covered a bit. So I
enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. It's really fun. This will be great. So we're going to push this out. I got to go back and transfer it to Japan.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So it's already.
What time?
Let's see. They're 16 hours ahead of us. So yeah, they're going on. They're just waking up, I think, in their morning. Or I get it mixed up. But anyway, I'll send it to her, and then we'll get it out though before then. So I want to thank you.
Well,
Official
thank
handshake.
you.
Okay.
Let's go Niners, right?
Go Niners. All right. All right. See you.
Do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to that episode, for tuning into the Hidden Pearls podcast. Thank you, Peggy, once again for being here. I loved listening to that and cutting up the episode. So I'm super excited to be sharing this. This is episode 101. Thank you again to everyone for being a part of us reaching that 100th episode milestone. That was really big and really special to all of us. So we just want to say thank you. And also just go Niners, man. I mean, even with all the rain that we've had, I am so excited, and I'm still in Japan. So I'm watching mostly some side streaming options to get the game, because we can't really just stream it in Japan, but I will be back soon and back with the guys and back doing our stories. So just want to say thank you so much. If you want to learn more about the Hidden Pearls podcast, you can check out our Instagram. We have a bunch more stuff on our YouTube, and our new website is almost done. I'm very excited about that. We have some exciting new offers for all of you. There are still some Hidden Pearls podcast hats available if you would like to get one. It's the special one that we designed for Tight End University. So there are a few more hats with signed player cards. So if you don't have a signed George Kittle card, you can get one of those and a hat. It has our Pearl logo on the front, and then it has Unite on the back. So we put Unite because just in the same way that Tight End University works to unite players across positions by bringing everyone together, we hope to unite the world through storytelling. So if you want to get more involved, you can grab one of those hats. They're at Residency, but the link is in our Instagram bio. Another way that you can get involved with the show is by leaving us a review. If you would leave us a 5-star review, subscribe, follow our episodes on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us to boost our ratings so that more people hear our shows, and you can subscribe to everything on YouTube. So there's a ton of different ways to get involved and consume more Hidden Pearls podcast content. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and go Niners.